Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel Data Carrot. Today we will be looking at mastering another SQL concept and a question related to it, which is calculating the running total, also called as cumulative sum. For any data professional, a running total isn't just a number. It's a story of progress. Today we are going to master the cumulative sum using both the traditional approach and a modern technique. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which method to pick for your specific use case. Before we start with the code, let's understand why businesses need this. In a company, data is usually recorded as a snapshot. What happened at this specific instance? A standard aggregation just gives you how much, but a running total will tell us how much we got so far. If we have a daily revenue target of suppose $20,000, seeing just 500 today is one thing. But seeing that we have accumulated over $19,000 so far this month tells us that we are very close to our target. This is the backbone of goal versus achievement charts. It is also used in supply chain management to generally track our inventory as the stock moves in and out. The running total tells us exactly what is left on the shelf at the moment. Let's try to keep it simple. Look at this table on your screen. We have date, region, revenue. Notice that day 1 we have north and south records. On day 2 we have them again. Our goal is to add a column that tracks the cumulative sum for these rows. Let's start with the classic way. Then we'll look at a advanced approach. This method is called the self-join method. This is the classic way we did things before Windows functions were a norm. It is important to learn because you might encounter it in a legacy code or an older database. The logic here is inequality join. In the query, look at the join clause. You can see on b dot date is less than a dot date. We are essentially saying for every group in table A, go look at table B and find every row that occurred on or before this current date. Then we group by the current date and sum up all those matched records from the table B. But the problem here is that if you have more than a million rows in a table, each row will go looking on for all the other rows. This will lead to a large table scan, and this quadratic complexity, which is also defined by the O of n square, will be very compute intensive. It might crash our server if the data is too large. Now let's talk about what is the industry standard, that is Windows functions. These were built specifically to solve the performance problems and readability issues of the self-join. Here the sum syntax, that is the sum of revenue over order by the date, is incredibly efficient. Unlike the self-join, the SQL doesn't have to restart the calculation for every row. It scans the entire data at once and adds the current revenue to the previous sum it already has in its memory. The order by date inside the over clause is what creates the running effect. It tells the SQL query in which direction do we need to accumulate the data. Now let's try and deconstruct the over clause here for a second. Think of this partition by as a reset button. The order by is mandatory for running totals. If you omit it, the SQL query just gives you the total sum of the entire table on every row. By default, SQL uses a frame called range between unbounded preceding and current row. This is a technical way of saying start from the very beginning and stop at the row I am right now on. Finally, let's look at the most advanced version. Cumulative sums within groups. What if the stakeholder wants to see the running total per region? In this code block, we have added partition by region. Now you can look at the logical result. The query calculates the total for north. When it reaches the first south record, it will see a new partition. It resets the total to 0 and starts counting again. This is specifically for the south. This is a very powerful technique because it gives you granular insights across multiple categories in a single table scan, which makes the query much more optimum for scanning huge records. To wrap up, use self joins only if you are stuck on an older database where the Windows functions don't work, or if your interviewer specifically asks for it. Otherwise, you can use sum over for 99% of your modern data applications. Use partition totals for dashboarding applications or other multi-category tracking. Also, always make a point to ensure that the column you use in your order by is indexed. This makes the running total calculation almost instantaneous, even with millions of rows. So with this, we come to an end. I hope you liked the video and found it useful. Please like and share and subscribe. Also leave your comments and questions in the comment section. Stay tuned for more such videos.